Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Deep Code Vision. Today we will be talking about operators in Python. Now for the first tutorial I will be talking about few of the operators, namely arithmetic operators, assignment operators, and unary minus operators, some relational and some logical operators, and also Boolean operators. So we will be covering these few of the operators in this video, and I'll make a separate video on bitwise operators. So let's get started. So I have here my Atom IDE open and a file named operators tutorial.py. So the first operator that we are going to talk about are arithmetic operators. First, let's talk about arithmetic operators. Yeah. So firstly, what are operators? Operators are a symbol which performs certain operations on operands. Now, if I write a statement, let's say the first statement, let's say we are talking about addition operators, 10 plus 15. So here, the operator is this symbol, which is an addition symbol from you. That's the addition symbol, and these two are operands. This is the operator and this is the operands. Now some operator might expect two operands, some might expect uh, one operand, and we will look at least two, or sometimes one operands are also there. So if I only write 10 plus and run the code, it will throw me an error. So it says invalid syntax. So that's a syntax error. Now if I add another operand, it will work perfectly. Now similar to addition operator, there is subtraction operator, which is 15 minus 10. Now if the first operand is greater than the second operand, it will throw a positive value, or it will throw a negative value. Either way we will get the difference. Now we have multiply. We have, now there are three type of division operator. When I say division operator, it performs a division but returns uh, different values to the variable. Now what I mean by that is, so there is one operator which is the plain divide operator, which is 15 divided by 10. That's the division operator, what we are used to in maths. Now there is another called divide, uh, or the remainder operator, or modulus sign. Now if I do this, it will, and I'll show you what each of them will return. Now another operator which is called the float division, or the integer part of the division quotient, is and that's about it. So let us print some of the division operators, because those are a little bit difficult to understand. So let's say divide rem and divide flow. Let's look at the all the results, which is The first division operator divides in a normal way, that is, it returns the float, which is 1.5. And the second division operator, which is also called the modulus operator sometimes, it returns us the remainder. So it divides and gives us the remainder. It will not divide any further. So that's about it. Now divide floor, what it does, it divides as per the divide operator, but it gives us only the integer part of it. Now let us use some other values to see it in a little bit detailed. Now it is a perfect division, so it won't return any remainder. So that's about it. Now it says it shows that we get 0, and here if you notice, the divide operator, this operator returns a float. Now let's see, we know how to see the type. That's calling the type on the variable. So if you look at this, it shows first divide operator is a float and the rest two are integers. That's interesting. You know, if you need only the only integer value or a float value. So, and also because it returns a float, the division operator, you should be aware when to use any um, which is called the typecasting. Like you want to change it exclusively into integer as well. Now you might be wondering, these are all single operand expressions, right? Now what about mul- multiple operators, single uh, now let us define some of the values. And I so while defining, what I'm using is a assignment operator. So this is x equal 12 is assignment operator. It expects one variable on the left and one value on the right. Now let us do one thing. Let us see how the multiple operators in a single sentence or single expression rather works. Now it will show some interesting results, and that is a segue towards the precedence of uh, operator. Now I will talk about precedence in, as once we describe all the operators, we will talk about precedence again. But for the mathematic or arithmetic operators, I want to talk about the precedence, because more often than not we use the arithmetic operators in a single expression rather than using other operators together with arithmetic operators, because it creates a lot of difficulty to understand the codes sometimes. So let us run the code. Now let's see why it is 17. So x is 12, y is 10, and this is z is 5, right? So if you see here, you'll see that 12 plus 10 is 22, and minus 5 is 17. Now it appears to be quite straightforward. Oh, it's doing the addition first and then the subtraction next. Now let us do one thing. Let us change what it is doing, and let us name it B. Now let us exchange the plus and minus. Now it becomes, now you might assume that um, it will work as 2, so 10 plus 5 15 and minus 12, that's minus 3. Let's see whether it works that way. Okay, now why this? That's interesting, right? Now there is a precedence on um, addition first, subtraction later, but there is also a precedence of left to right. Now it first does this, which is the subtraction, and then it adds the value. Now that is how, without parenthesis or without brackets, it works. Now if you want to specify something with brackets, you will have to specify them within the brackets or within parenthesis. Now if I do, it doesn't make sense, this, if I want to do, if I want to specify them, that I want to add first y plus z and then do the negative operation or the negative or the subtraction. Now it makes sense, right? So 10 plus 5 is 15, and take away 12 from that, that becomes minus 3. So if I do, let's say, do another one to let's do a addition, subtract, or maybe add division and multiplication. Let's see. 10 divided by 2, just to make things easier so that I don't have to run the whole thing again. So just I'm using literals now. And if you know, I'm sure what is literals you might be knowing. If you don't, please check out my videos. I have some videos in the channel, please do check out them. Now let's see what happens. Let's first do it. What should happen? What should happen is it should divide first and then multiply, because we are assuming that there is a left to right precedence. Let's see. Yeah, that, so it becomes 25. So 10 divided by 2, that's 5, and 5 multiplied by 5, 25. But we have a float. If you remember, this returns a float, that's why it has a 0.0 attached to it. Now let's change the operators. Now what should happen is it should be 2 divided by 5 multiplied by 10. Let's see if it works or we are wrong. Okay, 2 multiplied by 5, that's 0.4, and 2 divided by 5 is 0.4, and that's multiplied by 10 becomes 4. Now it's a float because again we are using a division operator. Um, Again, if you want to specify which operator should be working first, please remember you have to specify that within a parenthesis. Now, one thing you might be asking, what about if a single line expression has a double parenthesis? Let's see what happens then. Let's see if I have a p plus q, or rather p plus, let's say, have a x and y minus. That's quite interesting, right? Let's see what should happen. What should happen is 7 plus 12 plus 10 minus 5. That's the values, right? Now first what should happen is the first parenthesis should, the parenthesis inside the parenthesis should be working, because it will go through this, it will reach a parenthesis. Now it should work inside it, and then again the precedence takes the parenthesis. So what it will do is it will first operate on this, so that's 10 minus 5 is 5, and 5 plus 12 is 17. 17 plus 7, that's 24. So the result should be 24. So if you see, the result is 20. Now that's some of the part. Now there is another operator called exponent, or double multiplication, that's double star, if you want to remember it that way. It's e, let's say I have r, which is, and I have 5, so that is my exponent. Again, you can assign variables and do. I am doing it so that I don't have to run the whole code again and again. Now you have to remember two things. One, there is a left to right precedence without parenthesis. Another thing is, what is the precedence within the arithmetic operators, specifically arithmetic operators, not other operators. We are not talking about those. We will come back on the precedence um, when we first define or discuss all the operators, not define, discuss all the operators. Now it follows something called a ped mass. I'm not going to write the whole thing. And also L to R. So that's left to right and ped mass. Left to right without parenthesis, and ped mass if there is a parenthesis and everything. So ped mass is parenthesis, parenthesis, exponent, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Again, subtraction and addition, if they are used together in a same expression, addition has um, precedence over subtraction. So that's how this is this works. So left to right and ped mass. Okay, assignment operators, I'm not gonna discuss it in detail, because assignment operators are pretty so the first assignment operator is pretty easy, right? What we are doing here, this is an assignment operator. let's see what are the other assignment operators. So this is the assignment operator which assigns a value of 12 to uh, x. Now this is how, not how Python works, but we can think of that, because Python, what it does, it uh, uses identifiers. So x is um, is pointed towards 12. So that's how uh, Python works. Now okay, one some of the assignment operators are, it's quite easy. Let's say x is 12, I want to add something towards x, which is x plus 13. Now that's perfectly fine. Or if I want, we can do another thing, which is a addition assignment operator, which is like this: plus equals to 13, and this two should be the same. um let's see. So that's 13 plus 12, that's 25. You already know how this. Now similarly we can have minus equals to 4. So let's see. So that's 25 minus 4, that's 21. Now we also have multiplication assignment. 5, 21 multiplied by 5, that should be 105. Perfect. Now we can also have division assignment. 105 should be divisible by 5. So that's gives us back the 21. Now we can also have modulus equals to, which is let's say, so that should be 1. And also we have exponent equal to, let's see what that is, equals to um where do we know the answer? And also have um float division equals to, so let's see, I specify again this to 12, that float division equals to 5 would give us 2. Yeah, so that those are the few of the assignment operators. Now it becomes quite handy, it comes in quite handy when you want to do the assignment, but so you want to do the assignment, but you want to store the result in the same variable. That's what assignment operators are, uh, at least these assignment operators. Now okay, another thing you can do, you can, instead of literals, I am using literals to make life easier for us, but you can of course do it with variables, like if x. So that's how this works. um, One of the it is used quite a lot, but it is called a unary. So these are all what we are describing till now. It's a um, binary operators because it needs uh, two operands to work on. But there is, we don't call them that, but we can think of it mostly they need two operands. But one thing that doesn't need two operands are called unary operators. Now unary operators, one of them is unary minus operator, which is nothing but, so x equals to 3, and if I write print minus x, that's the unary, so it becomes minus 3. So that's pretty self-explanatory what I'm trying to do. Now if I would have written this, it would be plus 3. Yeah, so that's called unary. Now another type of operators which we have discussed a bit, like we did some discussion while we are discussing data types, it as it returns Boolean data types. So um, those are called relational operators. Now we have some of the relational operators which are, so greater than, less than, um, greater than, equals to, less than, equals to, double, equals to, so that checks whether a particular value is and not equal. So let's do some fun coding, or rather let's do some interactive coding which is taking in input from the console. For that I will talk about input and output statements later in a video. Let's value of a. And let's check whether a is greater than b, and print else print b, right? Okay, now for this let's run it in, let us run it in our console. Now this is my command prompt. You cannot see that, I apologize for that. So let us run the, so tutorial.py. So it asks, it first prints all the things that we have printed, so it runs the whole program. Then it asks to enter the value of a, and then asks the value of b, and it prints the larger value. Yeah. So let us think about what happens here. So this returns a true or a false, so this returns a Boolean. If I don't want this now, a equals 6, and then I just check, right, a greater than print check. If I run this part of the code, it should say it is a. So that's how relational operators work. You could have written this will be false. You could have written this should be true. This also be true, and this false, not equals to 9. That should be again true. So that's how relational operators work. Now what it checks is it checks whether the left operator is so this is the left operand, sorry, this is the left operand. So this, whether this and this has a relation that is specified here. So it doesn't check whether b, whether, so if this is what my operand operator is, so it checks whether a is less than b, not whether b is greater than a. So it is a left, again left, left, that's a left precedent. Okay. um so that's about the relational operators. Boolean, before we go into Boolean operators, let us look at the logical operators. So let's talk about logical operators. Now logical operators, there are three type of logical operators. One is and, or, and not. Now these are quite useful while using conditional statements or if else while these kind of statements. These are very useful, and you can make other logical operators like NAND, NOR, and all those things using um, the three main logical operators. Now these work on truth tables, and also if you are familiar with logic gates, that's how these works, similar to logic gate. Let's see an example. Logic and x and logic or x and logic not is x not, and let's print these on so logic and logic or logic. So logic and, now what it does is it checks the value of both x and y and returns whatever let's say um, is the positive value or the second value. Okay. Now if both are greater than 1, so both are true, but it returns the least positive value, which is 50, or the second operator, sorry, operand. And x or y returns 100 and not x returns false. So essentially what it means is anything above 1 is true, and anything below 1, which is 0, essentially is false. Now if I do this, let's see. So if this is 0, it returns 0, either one of is 0, and so the truth table is if 0 and 0 is 0, 1 and 1 is 1, and 1 and 0, 0 and 1 is always 0. Or is if either one of it is true, it returns true value. Another thing how logical operators work is, let's see what happens if this is 100 and this is a 0. Now here this is essentially false, right? So if this is false, it will return 0 or false, and if this is true or it has some value, it will return the right side operand, which is y. So essentially we write it as a statement. It will first check whether x is 0, then it will return 0. If not, then it will return y. Okay, so if this is 50 and this, it will return 100, which is y. And here what happens is whether it will check whether x is 0, or if you see it as a boolean, x is false, then it returns y, which is 100, or returns x. If it was 0, it would return y. And if it is not 0, it will return x. So that's how logical operators work in Python. Now the same operators, when used with boolean or 0 and 1 or true and false, it let's see what happens. So those are called now, let's say T is true, F is false. Now check, okay, and is T and F. If I print so if either one of it is false, it will return false. Similarly, if this was boolean or true or false, So either one of it is true, it will return true. And also the same thing with bool not. So that's true changed to false. So that is about it with all the operators. Now bitwise operators, which we will discuss next, it's a bit different. It works okay, it works similar to logical operators. Some of the bitwise operators works logical operators, but it works on each of the bits, not on the whole number. It works on each bits. Now we will see that in the next video, and we will also discuss some of the other operators called membership operators, identity operators, and so on. So thank you for watching, and please, if you like this video, do subscribe to my channel. It is free and it helps the content. Also like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.